Namaskar, this is Professor Manju Agarwal. I am very happy to welcome you again to another edition of the Essence of Life and Growth. And today we have with us a young, bright gentleman who has become a researcher like me in the last couple of days or months or years, which is not what we built him for. We built him to make contribution to the corporate, and which he is doing simultaneously. But then I'm happy that he has developed the love for research and growth, and we are very happy with his success because he is one person who is keeping the institution going forward in terms of the name as a real brand ambassador for the institute. But before I begin, I would like to give 2 or 3 disclaimers. The first disclaimer is that we are observing all the norms and nomenclatures as advised by Ministry of Home Affairs in accordance to conduct webinars or Zoom meetings, not to have Zoom bombing. And as a result, we moved to a secure platform almost about a month and a half back on this Zoom. We've had a fall of participations, but that has been better because we are in a safe environment and everybody is comfortable that nothing will go wrong at the end of the day. We do have a cyberhead who is watching you, so we request everybody to kindly keep their videos and audios off during this session. We will open up the videos and audios for people to ask questions to Vikash Raj at the end of the session after I finish my question and answers. The session will go on for about 45 minutes to an hour, where I will ask him questions and then I will open up the house for questions. The last disclaimer I would like to make is that please, these views expressed here are views of individuals, of my guest and me who are speaking these views. They are not supposed to be reflections of what is the opinion of the institutions we belong to, either my guest or me myself. Although the Indian Institute of Finance has provided a platform, is sponsoring and is providing the financial support, logistic support in terms of conducting all the webinars. We have been fortunate. We have over 65 webinars and meetings in the last one and a half month, in 45 days. 90% of them have been free, except for technical sessions, which have been charged. From that, everything else has been kept free, and we are trying to bring in people from across the globe to come and speak to you on different issues. We are going to start another series of the webinars, which is going to be a workshop series, which will be focusing on different areas of research, of importance, and different components of finance, which we will have again a group of people from across the globe presenting their views. And these will be there from the next week onwards. We are already structuring and scheduling them. Most of these activities will continue even after the lockdown. Now, to just brief you about my guest today, Vikash is currently the head on business analytics and process engineering at the IDFC Asset Management Company Limited. As you would know, IDFC is one of the fastest growing organizations in terms of the kind of assets they have. They have asset companies, they have pension funds, they have large number of activities, including a bank now, which is there as part of their kitty. So IDFC has been growing very strong and very fast. He is a researcher, as I said, now grown. I feel I introduce him as a researcher because I know that he has been building up that component, and he has been receiving large number of awards in the last couple of months, and in fact over a year and a half now, for his research activities and contributions he's making to the business world. And his research is practical research. It is not, only research goes in journals and lies in the library and only doctoral students refer to them, but his research is based on practical experience and practical work, which is getting implemented in the business and industry, in banks, financial institutions, and all. He is also author of a book which was recently launched last year and became one of the best sellers, which is Business Analytics and Financial Planning, a book which was introduced by the TV18 Broadcast Limited organization, published by them. And so has been well in a month. His was there while he was traveling for his work. He could see them being sold there, which is a great achievement because, as an author, as someone who writes something, seeing your own work displayed and being accepted and being received by people is something. I remember from And many times, some of these actors go to movie theaters to go and get a feed on how people are reacting to the work they have. So it is always a charm for every one of us for the work which we created. It's like a baby for us, which is created to see how has it grown and how has it been received. And I was very happy to hear from him that it is being received very well. We were also happy that we reviewed the book in the journal called Finance India, which we published at the Indian Institute of Finance. Prior to his assignment, current assignment at IDFC, Vikash has worked with ICRA Online, with CRISIL, which are both rating agencies, with Citibank, Standard Chartered Bank AMC. Then he was also CEO of the IDFC Pension Fund for a short while before he took up his new role as the head of business analytics and process engineering at the IDFC Asset Management Company. He is an alumni from the batch of 1996-98 of the Institute for the Management of Business Finance program. We have brought in some alumni also. We brought in Somi Tandon, who was an alumni from 1988-90 batch. She was former Secretary of Defense. We are going to bring in some more alumni. We brought in Chanley, who was from a recent batch of 2003-5, and so on and so forth. And I would try and bring in some of them because they also have a different perspective to life and things like that. And we are going to bring in also some of the senior ones who have held various government positions at the level of Secretary Government of India at various places. I will now go to Vikash. And Vikash, before I begin my interview of asking you questions on the essence of life and growth, I will really appreciate if you can spare about 5-10 minutes time and talk about your journey of life. Your journey of life from being a small child, a child of 7-8 years of age, and then going to be a teen, then going to school, then going to college, and then going into studying at the institute, and then going into the corporate world. And your journey on a decade basis, if you can share some insight of how the journey has been, specifically from the perspective of how have you seen the change in perception of your own self in terms of life and when it comes to growth, and how have you seen that growth and what do you perceive from there? I will be putting you on spotlight in a second, and then we go forward from there on. Just a second, please. Yes, Vikas, you may kindly begin, and maybe if you can give that reflection of your life, a journey of life in the process of understanding the essence of life. So, Vikas.
Okay, thank you, Aman, for a very detailed introduction of mine. So, about myself, I was born and brought up in a small town called Hazaribagh, which is in Jharkhand. And from childhood, I was a normal, mediocre kind of student. So neither very good in sports nor very good in studies, but I had flair for mathematics, and that came because I used to study with my brother, my elder brother, and actually I used to read my books as well as his books. So in mathematics, I could challenge anybody around in the locality, whichever class he is, that I'll solve your problem. And apart from mathematics, I did not know anything. Very bad in sports. I'll tell you one incidence of sports. So what happened from class 4, 5, I could remember. I used to go for sports day every year, and I would spend the time from early morning till late evening, thinking that somebody will call me for some event. But ultimately, many times it happened for many years, 2-3 years, that I was never part of any event. Sometime I was only doing some march past or some group event, but otherwise I was not called for any event. Then I used to see somebody who was coming first in all the events, so 100 meters or 800 meters or 1600 meters. So I thought I'll try this time. And what I did, I promised to myself that I'll practice every day. Morning, I'll get up 5:30, 5 o'clock, and I'll go for jogging. With only this thing that I'll only do this as a process, and I used to do it. I think it was for 1 month or 1.5 months, 45 days max. So I never bunked that session, and incidentally it happened so that in that year, I think I was in class 8 at that point of time. So first attempt was in a hurdle race, and I came first time in life I participated, I came first, and it was very overwhelming. Second running race came, that was 800 meters. So the captain of my team, he said, "You don't run. This is a guy, I know he's a good runner, so let him run." And I was in Gonzaga house. So that guy ran, but I was selected during the heats, but because my captain requested me to allow him to run in my place, so I allowed him to run, and he did not do well. So the numbers, the points came down for Gonzaga house. Then it was 1600 meters. It was a big run. So he said, "Okay, you run." I came again first. So this was first participation in sports. I could come first in 2 races. So that gave me lots of confidence. That you don't need to be a big runner. You don't need to be a seasoned sportsman. If you work hard, you will be able to do good. And at that point of time, I was not a good student at all. So I did not used to fail, but I was not among good students. I was average kind of a student. Then I decided, that was in class 8, that I'll get up early morning every day at 4 o'clock. So it was 1 month before the exam. That was the only promise. I knew I was not very intelligent. So there was no chance that I will do very well. But just I thought that if I can do well in sports, let me give it a try in studies also. Apart from maths, I did not find interest in any subjects, but I had to study. So the only promise to myself was that I will study from 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning till 7:38, and I'll do sincere studies. I don't know whether I have the intelligence to do well or not, whether I have the caliber or the stamina to do well in the exams or not. I never thought on those things, because I never thought that I will do well in exams. And only by 40, 50 days of 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock studies. At that year, I was mentioned in the class that he has done well in that exam. So I did not score like top 5 or top 7. I was not having that position. But I was mentioned in the class that this guy is also a good guy. So till that time, nobody has known me at all. But in class 8, people started thinking that he is also a student. So I'm not very good. But in class 9 and 10, I knew that I'm not intelligent at all. So my brother, younger brother, was very intelligent. My elder brother was very intelligent. My elder brother cleared his medical in his first attempt. And younger brother is also doing very well in school. He was school captain. But I was the worst kind of. Only thing I told myself that I'll work hard. And then class 9 and 10, I did well. And I did very well. So I was offered a seat in physics department in the college, which was supposed to be the toughest subject. But because I got good marks, they allowed me to study physics. I studied physics in school throughout. Physics, chemistry, and mathematics was my subject. And then during that college days, I did some course in computer science. And then I wanted to do job, because family background was also not very comfortable. So I thought I'll support my dad. My elder brother was into medical, and we were 6 brothers and sisters all put together. So supporting such a big family was difficult. So I thought I will support my dad and do some job. So after my graduation, I took up a job in a school. I was physics and computer science teacher. But again, I did not like it. Then I applied for a job and I got a job of a graduate trainee in Bombay. And that was a company called Jindal Iron and Steel. And they was into EDP, that is Electronic Data Processing Department. And there they figured out that I have got some flair in mathematics. And mathematics is something which is rare. Normally, not many people like maths. So people from quality control department wanted to take me, and production department also wanted to take me, because all of them had to create some MIS, some reports, which I was good at. I wanted to be into quality control, because production was, you will have to work in the factory, lots of furnaces, very hot and everything. So I told them that I want to be in quality control. But the production department, my boss said, you be with us, I'll give you a AC compartment, because computers were supposed to be kept in the AC room. So I was in the AC room. Then I said, I want to study again, further study. He said, okay, you select your session. So there was no, there used to be some schedule. So the session started from 7 till I think 3 o'clock, then the evening shift and then night shift used to be. I said, I want to start at 5:36 and then I want to complete my time around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Then I wanted to do some study of myself. So they allowed me as an exception. It never happened in that factory that people had a different session. So it was a place 200 kilometers from Bombay. It's called Boisar. So I used to take a train, come to Borivali in Bombay, and then joined a National School of Banking. So I never thought that I'll study and then job. I wanted that immediate job was a requirement. So I thought I'll take a banking job. And for that, I needed something which exam I passed, and then immediately I get to a job. So I was preparing for banking. And in my hostel, people were preparing for MBAs. So I was not preparing for MBA at all. So I decided that they'll have their own preparation and I'll have my own preparation. But preparations were somewhat similar. So one of the guy got an additional application form. And he said that, so normally what we used to do, whenever there was an exam, so the factory van used to come to Bombay. And all the young guys, graduates, they used to come to Bombay and then spend time in Juhu and Chapati and places like that. So 3 or 4 people will go to attend the exam and all of us used to wait outside and then all of us will join together and enjoy. So he said, you have to sit outside, fill this form. So MBA, you do MBA, just the exams, it will be a practice for you. So exams are similar. So that's how I applied for MBA, and by God's grace, I was selected by Professor J.D Agarwal. And then I ended up taking finance. So a person from physics background taking finance. So I asked Manju ma'am was there and then J.D sir was there. I told him that, see, I am a physics graduate. I have never read a newspaper which is red color. So I don't know even E of economics. And then both of them, they said, okay, you can do it. So I joined this course of MBA Finance with the Institute of Finance at that point of time. But it was a very difficult first semester and second semester. People used to teach accounts. So something is debit, something is credit, something gets credited in one account, something gets debited in another account. I did not get any clue why something gets debited, why some other account gets credited. So it was it was a nightmare, not getting anything. I went to Manju ma'am and said what to do. So it's very difficult. So why did you select me? So I think I will never pass out from this finance class, very difficult. So Manju ma'am suggested me that you take a NCERT book in accounts and start studying from 11th class book. So I started studying from 11th class book. I never used to go out because people used to talk that, okay, that teacher was teaching debit, it was cash book, and this is bank book. So it was very, very difficult. I remember one incident when I asked my teacher that what is the difference between cash book and bank book. So everybody started laughing in the class. He doesn't understand what is cash book and what is bank book. And a very good friend of mine, he became my best friend after some time. He told me that when you get your salary will be recorded into cash book. And when we will get salary, our salary will go into the bank book. Then he explained that since you will not get a good salary, it will be like chiller. So your entry will be into cash book and we'll get handsome salary. So our salary will get recorded in the bank book. So that was the situation. But after say first and second semester, people started talking that Vikash has got good concept in economics. So that was all because of Manju ma'am. I used to go to her, take book written by her, and understand why the graph starts from left to right, what is axis, y-axis, why it's declining, why sometimes it's going up. So from the very basic, I was supported by Manju ma'am on economics. And later on, people said that this guy has got good concept in economics. Then I somehow passed out MBA and then joined. First job was into sales of financial product. That was in Faridabad, very near to Delhi. And there I got introduced to research, where people used to talk about this product gave that much return, and the other product gave some other return. This product is high risk, the other one is low risk. And month over month, they used to send me report, and I used to analyze them, and I found it that there is something wrong in those reports. And then I used to interact with people from AMC, and I had lots of queries. Then I met ICRA guy, and at that point of time, the website called mutualfundindia.com was launched. We got the award from Forbes magazine. That was the best website, one of the best websites. So I met them, then told them that why don't you do calculation like this, and these will help the salespeople more. So this type of reports are required. And then they offered me a job that why don't you join us? So you have got some sales experience, and we want people who have got some sales experience to help us design these reports. So that was my first change in job. And one thing which I learned a lot in the MBA Institute, in Institute of Finance, was that you have to learn. So that institute I value a lot because they explained how to learn. They did not do spoon feeding. So we used to have something called finance review in the evening that was attended by Dr. J.D Agarwal, also himself. And we used to discuss anything and everything which used to come in the newspaper. And it was not necessary from the course. So from first semester, we started discussing. So the concept-wise, that institute helped us a lot. And it was never a spoon feeding. J.D. sir used to say that we will teach you how to learn, and then you need to learn yourself. So that helped a lot. So I am quoting this because when I was in the first job, which was in ICRA, I thought that I will do some report, some analytics on mutual fund based on things which I have read in the class. It was not copied anywhere. And that research was published in Business Standard. And I used Fama model for mutual fund analytics, which was taught in the institute. Okay. So many people did not know about it because Fama model was a slightly difficult model. But I will give credit to my boss who took the courage to publish that report in Business Standard and put his neck on the block that if something would go wrong, people would have told him that what kind of analytics mutual fund can never be analyzed on Fama model. Anybody could say anything. But the credit to my boss was that he took the risk of publishing my research in Business Standard. And I remember that was first time I and my team, person who was working with me, we worked throughout the night and a couple of nights to complete that report. And the passion was, the happiness, the satisfaction was huge. That the work which I did, and I did it by reading the books. It was not that I have seen it anywhere. So it was all done based on the book which I have read, translated it into actual reality. It was a great satisfaction. And in that company, I spent huge amount of time. The first product on mutual fund research was launched by ICRA, it was called the Mutual Fund India Explorer. And I had a significant role in designing that product. So I had some software background, which I told you, and then finance background, and analysis background. So combining these two helped me a lot. And we launched this product. So in Indian mutual fund industry, I can take some pride in saying that the product which is currently being used in India in mutual fund industry, I was part of the team which has developed. And most of the report was developed, conceived by me, and then I helped the IT team to develop it. Then I moved to another company, Crystal. That company also hired me for similar kind of a role. Then moved to Citibank. I was head of research there. Then doing mutual fund and third-party product research. Then I landed up in Stanchart Bank and Stanchart Mutual Fund. There I became head of product. And Stanchart Mutual Fund was then sold out to IDFC, and by virtue of that, I ended up in IDFC. And I started as head of product in IDFC. Then I worked in different departments. So I have managed loyalty program, brokerage structure, I've managed product marketing. Then we launched pension fund when PFRDA came out with a study that India needs a national pension scheme. So I was the guy who drafted the proposal to PFRDA that we should get permission to launch the national pension system. And at that point of time, I interacted very closely with Government of India, with Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority to design some of the reports which they used to analyze how the 6 pension fund managers were performing. And I became the CEO of IDFC Pension Fund. Then later on, the industry started opening up. Initially, there were only 6 pension fund managers, and the revenue was so bad that it was a loss-making proposition for all the asset managers. So the only incentive was that it had a great CV value. That you are one of the 6 pension fund manager of the largest economy with lots of people who will need social security. So it was the pride, but when it was opened up, we decided that we'll withdraw our license. Then I got involved in setting up IDFC Bank. And while working on that IDFC Bank setting up project, I got interested in the predictive modeling and analytics. The different kind of analytics were there. So there I know that machine learning, I got introduced to machine learning at that point of time. And during this period, when I was into working with pension fund, I thought let's do some value addition to myself again. And then I joined the Actuarial Institute of India as well as UK. I thought let's do some, at that point of time I was thinking that, okay, I'll become an actuary so that I'll contribute to pension fund industry, creating some actuarial products, some annuity products. So I cleared 2-3 papers then, and then I found it's very, very difficult. And there's 16 papers to be cleared. And so I had very little time now at my hand. And so I cleared maths and statistics and economics papers with the Actuarial Institute. And then got introduced to business analytics and machine learning. So I did a course, 1-year course from IIM Calcutta on machine learning and data analytics and data modeling. And then I was called back by my CEO of IDFC AMC that why don't you come back and set up the analytics platform there. So initially it was a very difficult period there, but I ended up setting up analytics platform, and currently I'm doing some predictive modeling for the industry and a few other products which I'm launching right now. So within the next 2 months, I'll be launching a product on experiential analytics. So I've done some work on business intelligence, some work on business analytics, data modeling, third-party research, and then the way this business analytics could be implemented in my industry, I thought I'll write a book because lots of things are there which are not being used. So this is a great way that whatever I have learned and which I know, if I write a book, that will become immortal. Otherwise, things which are not implemented by the industry, that will get lost along with me. During that period, I lost my mom. So I dedicated that book to my dad and my mom. So it was a great experience that their names are there on the book. And thankfully, Dr. Agarwal has written the foreword. So I'm very thankful to you also for being a part of my family. The book is my kind of, as you said, it's a child. So I love that book the way I love two of my children. And the foreword of that book has been written by Aman. So thanks, Aman, for that. So you are a part of my family. So I have been part of your family also. So it's a good bonding that has happened between us. So that's the brief about my life so far.
Thank you, Vikas, for introducing your life history of your journey in life in terms of building up your own self. And as I could see that you have been investing in your own self constantly, continuously, at every stage of your life you have gone through. You know, looking back in your life, what do you think are the key essential factors which identify and outline the underlyings of the essence of life and growth?
See, my two things. One is you need to love what you do, or you need to do what you love. So you need to have passion of doing what you want to do in the life. And secondly is empathy. You need to respect people. The people who are around you, they are very important to you. You need to respect them. You need to find what are good qualities in them. So everybody has got lots of good qualities. So I'll tell you one incident of my life. I was interacting with my CEO. He was CEO of Stan Chart Mutual Fund. So a great man, very few such great people exist. So he told me, and he was a very jovial person. So I have never seen him talking business with the people outside his cabin. So only business was discussed inside his cabin. Whenever he's outside his cabin, he used to talk about a person. How are you? You are getting fat. You don't do exercise. Take care of this and that. So and he used to have his lunch with us in the canteen. He never used to have lunch like other CEOs in his cabin. So he used to have it in the cafeteria. So he said, it's very difficult to live with the same wife for so many years. 25, 30 years spending with the same wife is very difficult. So the only thing how you can live with the same wife for many, many years is try to find out what are good qualities in her. If you try to find fault in her, you will not be able to live with her. So we'll have to find out what all good things are there. So we will find lots of good things. So that was very impressive and very frank things. And he said it as a joke. But I found there are lots of people, and I'll tell you in my team, there are different people. Some are very intelligent people, some are very hardworking. So both people are very important to me. So I'll tell you one instance when I told one of the guy was very hardworking that I need a job done, and it was Friday. I said, stay back for some more time and complete this work. So I was sure that he will complete that work, and then I went back home Friday. Saturday I will not ask him because maybe he would have gone home late. So I did not disturb him on Saturday. Saturday, Sundays, AMCs don't work, so we have got 5 working days. On Sunday, I called him around 11 o'clock. So that work was done. He told me, sir, work is still going on. I'm still in office. I have not gone home for the last 2 days. So without informing me, this guy continued working Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday day, Saturday night, it was Sunday. So those are the people. He's not very intelligent, but he's very hardworking. And you need hardworking people. So I appreciate him a lot. Now I don't need such hardworking people because things are well settled and we are able to do it. But that guy is equally important to me today as against the other people who are very, very intelligent and highly educated and more qualified. So both the kinds of people are very important. So one thing which I have learned is you don't need to compare yourself with anybody else. And you don't need to compare the 2 other people who are there in your team. Because all people are different and nobody is comparable. And you need not compare yourself with others also, because that guy is maybe a very, very successful person and you need to copy what good qualities he has got, but don't undermine yourself also. So you are also important in some way, which it will be difficult for you to find
True.
out what good things you have in yourself. It's easier to find out good things which other people have. But if you don't compare yourself, you'll be happy. So essence of life is to find happiness. Don't try to find success, because definition of success is very different for everybody around you. Your son will have a different definition of success. Your wife will have a different definition. Your neighbor will have a different definition. But you can be happy. And happiness you will get if you like to do whatever you're good at and whatever you love to do. So two things which I'll say is respect for other people, have empathy, try to develop that if you don't have it, and try to do things which you like to do and be real to yourself. If you try to be somebody else, it will be very difficult for you to carry yourself along, and it creates lots of stress. I've seen people who are very stressful and they are completely different person at home and completely different person in office. That becomes very, very difficult. So I think if you are true to yourself, don't try to portray yourself as a great man or as an intelligent person or as a powerful person. Just be yourself. People will love you, and you'll be having less amount of stress. And that is the way I believe it's better to lead life. And that is how I practice. Maybe uh, the essence of life is different for different people.
True.
I think if you keep it simple, it will be better and you can have a good, peaceful life.
Correct. I endorse your view of keeping it as simple as possible for happiness. Actually, inherently there, it's just a question of you observing it and discovering it for your own self. And everyone has their own way of going through this jigsaw puzzle to hold out this happiness in oneself. You know, because the way you told your journey was like a step of the stairs, one, then the next, and then the third. It's like everything was falling in place for you, one after the other. You know,
No.
you know, I wanted to, because I
I'll tell
read,
you about my failures. I'll tell you about my failures. Okay.
but it seemed from your story. If you can then highlight that as well.
No, I skipped that part. I'll tell you. When I was called back from bank to set up the data warehouse and the analytics platform, at that point of time, the CEO who called me, he left the company and he went to some other company, and some new CEO came. And it's a nightmare to organize data of any company. It was 5 years back. I thought it's simple, and I thought within a quarter I'll be able to set up the database, able to create mappings, synchronize the data, I'll be able to harmonize the data. My estimate was 3 months is sufficient. And the vendor was working with me. He said there is no database in the world which we will not be able to understand and organize. So I gave an estimate to my CEO that, okay, in 1 quarter, we'll be able to complete this. And then we'll roll it out and you'll be able to get reports. 1 quarter passed, 2nd quarter passed, 3rd quarter passed. Nothing came out of that. And everybody started talking about that this guy has made the company invest huge amount of money into data analytics platform. He's organizing the data, and he's never able to take out any single correct report. And then things started becoming very, very bad. And CEO said, okay, so next 1 month, and you'll have to show this report. And that next 1 month went, nothing came out. Okay. So it became very, very difficult. So every day I used to go back home thinking that next day when I come back to office, there will be no job for me. And even other people in other departments started talking about that. Okay, this is one guy who is only spending money. So, incidentally, because of my history, my salary was slightly better than everybody else. And at that point of time, it was reported in the website. So people with slightly higher salary, as per SEBI guideline, they were supposed to be announced in the public media that this guy is having a salary higher than an X level. So my salary got reported in the website And then there were lots of hostility coming up within the company. Everybody was talking that this guy is getting high salary because of nothing. So nothing is coming. And so the wrong thing which I did at that point of time, which I learned now, which I'll try to communicate to all of you, that data first strategy is the wrong strategy. Never think that you'll organize all the data and then try to do modeling, because data will never complete. There is so much data which is getting generated every day, every minute, every second, that if you try to organize it data, it will never complete. So the best thing is think about a project, an output, or work backward. Whatever minimum data that you need to come out with that output, you should do it. So then started working on that project. Luckily, before my book launch, I was able to complete that part. And after that, book launch was 1 year back, and for the last 2 years, I've been getting lots of awards. So I got an award for business intelligence. I got an award for this predictive modeling, which we are doing, which has been used in the industry. But that phase of, say, 1 year, it was very stressful. I mean, I am a person who is very bad at managing stress. So it was impacting my family, it was impacting my personal health, a very bad phase of my life. So that's one of the dark patch which I have. But now I've learned a lot with that patch, and it has helped me to deliver lots of results now. So my thinking and my thought process and project planning has completely changed after that period. So I think it's very important for everybody to be ready for those dark patches.
Yeah, most of my speakers have also said that they have learned through failures, and it's important to fail if you want to relearn, and relearn, because unless you do that, you will not be able to understand what you have been missing in life to go forward. Tell me something, Vikas. You've been growing from one organization to the other. You have had exposure in large organizations, small, large, all kinds of organizations in different kinds of spheres. Do you think from an organization perspective and even as an individual, is growth the only evidence of life?
No, not at all, not at all. Growth in terms of status or a designation is not important at all. Okay. So you need to do something which you are good at. Like in my case, I have been CEO of IDFC Pension Fund. Now I am head of product. Now my company has told me that there is very low probability that you will get a raise or get a promotion, because AMC is an asset management company. So normally CEOs are from the sales background or from the fund management background. I'm from the analytics background. So I will not become the CEO. But I'm not thinking of switching this job because for a data loving person, you need to get a company which is using your data. So this is the company which is using data. It's using my predictions. So we have my prediction is in terms of identifying a person who is going to transact in next 30 days, looking at the data. Looking at the last 10 years data, I'm predicting which client of mine is going to transact in next 30 days. And based on that, the complete digital strategy is being set up by the marketing department. And then we engage with those guys on those products which actually been predicted by me. So the happiness that I draw from the fact that whatever I am doing is being used. And there is a company which believes in data. So I may get some other job in some other company, but the kind of happiness which I'm deriving here by being a head of a department, I'm not. I know that there is very little scope of I'm getting further promotions. The very fact that my work is being used in actual business gives lots of satisfaction. So designation doesn't matter. So what matters most is what you are doing, whether it's making any difference to the society, whether it's making any difference to the business, that gives lots of satisfaction. And if you're satisfied in terms of Manju ma'am, if you calculate the level of satisfaction by a term called utils, he taught me that
True, true.
the unit of satisfaction is utils. So if you
Correct.
get good amount of utils, you will be, you are
Correct. Yes. And then the utility personalization which takes place, which you must have studied in economics, is very important.
yes, I remember those classes. Yeah.
Recall from there. You know, since you talked about projections and the way you tackle data and all, so I give you some basic data. You know, there is uncertainty. We live in worlds and times of uncertainty. It's not something because of Corona. It has been going on for decades and decades. If you go back and talk to your father, your uncle, or your grandfather or your granduncle, they will tell you the kind of uncertainties they saw in their lifetime, whether it was a question of independence of nations, whether it was a question of scarcity of food or scarcity of money or scarcity of opportunities. They would say, oh, you have so many opportunities. You have Internet of Things with you. I had nothing. And if you talk to people who were working with data in the 80s or 90s, they will say, oh, you have access to all through Google and all, but we had nothing. So, you know, everyone has these uncertainty which goes on, and the world has been going through uncertainty. Given that you do projections and then large number of people look at your project, how do you see the next 6 months to a year shaping up, specifically from the perspective of life, happiness, and growth thereupon? I'm not looking at financial growth. I'm not looking at number growth. I'm looking at the happiness, the liveliness, the humane component. How do you see life shaping up from that 6 months to a year?
Okay, to answer your question, see, we do forecasting. Okay, so we do prediction and forecasting. That is based on past data. Okay. So it's a time series forecasting. We do some regression based forecasting. So that is based on things which has happened in the past. Okay.
Correct.
So in life, there is no data to support of forecasting. But on a philosophical note, I think people have realized that the speed at which they were giving, they were running behind materialistic world. So that might not be useful to them. So if you have, I was thinking I have got a flat in Delhi also. I thought, what will happen to that flat? I will not be able to consume that flat. I will not be able to sell off that flat because nobody will have the money or the need to buy a flat in Delhi. I was thinking of suggesting my company because I have been working from home. My entire team has been working from home, and there has not been any change in our delivery pattern. The reports which we have been delivering, the predictions which we have been doing, we don't do prediction, we do classification. So we classify a person to a buyer or non-buyer, and we do some level of time series forecasting. So the deliveries which we do has been happening even without going to office. So all the servers have been working fine. The databases are getting updated regularly. So we don't need to be in Bombay. I can go back to any remote place, go to Ranchi and Hazaribagh and stay there and do the same work. So the need for staying in a metro will go down. The pollution level will go down. The traffic will go down. The demand for real estate in these locations will go down. So it's a big change in the entire world, the way people look at life, the way people do work, the way people are running behind nothing for no reason. Every day morning 8:30 you start, take 2 hours of drive and then reach office and do nothing and then come back after doing nothing. So the way people perceive life is going to change, the lifestyle is going to change, the priorities of life is going to change. The family is happy that I've been spending last 70 days throughout the 24 hours with them. Children have started knowing me better. I've started knowing them better. So I think it's a blessing. It's a good thing that you have started giving importance to yourself, to your family, to your people, to your relatives, and not too much to the business side, which is a secondary thing. I read one a joke somewhere that somebody was asking somebody else that, what do you do for living? And he said, I laugh, I meet my friends, I spend time with my family. These are the things which I do to live. And he said, but how do you spend? So I work for earning money also. So people, earning money was supposed to be a secondary target for people. It has become a primary target. And the primary thing was to enjoy life, to spend time with your family, your friends, your society. That became a secondary target and secondary priority for people. So this definition will change. So world will become a better world. Those of people are dying, so it's a sorrow, and it's a very bad thing for people who are losing their family members. So, but it had to happen because we got derailed in the race to defeat the colleague and have a larger car and a larger house and a better quality shootings, and so we lost the essence of life. So I think it's a change that was required and it's happening for the better.
Yes, I think the change is happening. The change is absolutely important. It's something which is constant, and we must have it going forward. You know, because some people in my previous discussions have talked about spirituality, about meditation, about soul consciousness. Do you think any one of these three words give any buzz to you, or from your own life perspective, that they have anything to do with the essence of life and growth?
No, I have been very religious person, and every day I do meditate and prayers. So I've got a dedicated kind of a temple in my house. So when I bought this house, I created a temple within the house. That was two, three things was there as my priority, that I'll have a temple within my house. I need to have a swimming pool in my society and a gymnasium in the society. These three things were my priority when I thought I'll buy a house. So these three things I ensure that I have. So I don't remember how long I have been doing prayers and meditation. I do lots of reading about Hindu mythology. Most of the books which you think of, Search in Secret India, Search in Secret Egypt, um, Himalayan leaders, biography of a yogi. I've been reading lots of books on spirituality, and I try to practice some of them. Though I don't have a spiritual leader whom I'm following, but self-medication and self-meditation and self-prayer is something which I've been doing for donkey's years now. So I love my mother. I love the mother God. So I'm basically a very religious person when it
That's
comes to
good to
personal
say.
life.
But there's nothing wrong in being religious. It's just a question that when I, was told, and I go to temples, I go to mosques, I go to churches, I go to Jewish synagogues, whichever country I go, because you will be surprised. My mother told me once, my father told me also, that you must go and see the blessings of the river. So whenever I go to a city or a country and they have a river or a sea, I go and touch the water and seek its blessings. I go to whichever church or synagogue or mosque, whatever they have, I always go there for spending 5, 10, 15 minutes of my time, thanking God. It doesn't make a difference whether my feelings are there, but my feelings, my understanding of it is there. And I think that's important to be religious. On the other hand, I always say that I don't need to be religious by praying to God, going to a temple. If I'm doing my job correctly, if I am honest to myself, I'm honest to the society, I'm doing whatever is fair enough and is in the rightest perspective, and not doing something wrong which is going to hurt someone, I think I am in a way praying to God as well. So
It's
I
a very
don't.
deep philosophy. It's a very deep philosophy. If you read Ramakrishna Paramhans, the Calcutta Arya Samaj, and if you read him, he realized God in 16 different ways.
Correct.
Essence of his preaching is that God is inside you,
Correct.
and there are different ways to do the meditation for the same person.
True. True.
Muslim people, if they are meditating on a symbol. Christian meditate on a symbol, which is cross. Hindu meditate on a symbol, which is Om, or a symbol of a god, which is a deity, idol. Everything is a symbol. You're meditating. Why?
True.
You need an external symbol, because it's very difficult to meditate on yourself.
True.
When you meditate on a symbol, the God which is inside you, that manifests itself in that symbol, and then you meditate on that symbol. So any religion you take up, you are actually meditating on the power which is inside you. So
True.
It's very difficult to explain. So people have started teaching that, okay, this is a way to attain God.
True. True.
Essence is same. Essence is that God is inside you, and whether you do it in a mosque or in a gurudwara or in a church or in a temple, the basic thing is the same thing.
Correct. Correct. No, I agree. I have two last questions from you before I open the house to others, and I would request everybody to raise their hands who want to ask a question. And my two questions goes as, one of them is that since you make forecasts and projections, there were some forecasts which were done about India's GDP growth being about 1.9% in 2020. That's January, December 2020, calendar year, by the IMF, and about 7.4% for 2021. That's again January to December 2021. 1 quarter overlap for India because we look at a financial year and not the calendar year perspective. So there would be some difference in what our projections come out to be. And then we had the RBI governor come out the other with the monetary policy review report, which was a pre-monetary policy review report done by them to bring out some relief packages. And there they said, we are going to have a negative impetus in terms of growth. He was not so hopeful of even what the growth is expected to be. Now you have seen the potential of youth. You interact with different levels in your own organization, people who are working under you. You have been meeting with customers, you have been meeting with young minds nowadays because you address various forums at universities, colleges, and so on and so forth. You know the real potential. You come from a small town in India. You don't come from a big city like New York or Delhi that you've just been implanted and put in place. So you know the heart of India, because the heart of India lives in smaller towns in the country. The real rural India is what the heart of India is all about. Now you know those kind of things. And given that potential, do you think these projections are conspirative in nature or they are optimistic in nature? What's your feel on that, or take on that?
See, these forecastings and predictions are done based on certain data point.
Correct.
And then in economics, you say ceteris paribus. If things remain the same, this is what is the output which is coming to, which may happen. And there's a probability that, okay, probably this is what's going to happen. But economics is not that simple.
Correct.
The macroeconomics is the most difficult formula if you have to create a formula of all the moving points which are there. So any change in any of those parameters are going to change the outcome. So forecasting is something which is done for you to do a planning that, okay, if things are going to happen this way, how do you need to prepare yourself for that particular outcome? But if situation would change, this forecasting will go away. So forecasting has got no meaning. Even if we do forecasting of profit and forecasting of revenue, those things are done to give a base to the planning of the expenditure which you are going to do, so that your planning and the outcome may not be very, very difficult, very, very different. So none of these forecasted numbers, none of the planned and predicted numbers in any balance sheet actually happen that way. All forecastings are wrong. All in statistics we say, all formulae, all statistical models are wrong. Some of them are useful. So if they are useful, try to use them. But if you want to follow a model, almost all statistical models are wrong. So predictions are only to be used to be used in planning certain expenditures and certain other things. They will never going to happen. Okay. What people predict, it never happens.
I understand. I always say data and statistics is used by people to prove whatever they want to prove or disprove. It doesn't speak.
Correct.
You have to create that objective, and then you get data and structure.
Yeah. In financial products,
my question
you
was,
tell me to find out good thing about any product.
But my question was,
data accordingly.
understanding of India and the nuances of India and the potential of India, okay, vis-a-vis the world at large, because this is a barometer stretch. You know, it's you grow a little bigger. It's like that small line we would make to give an example. You draw a small line and then they say, can you make it look smaller? Then you draw a bigger line across it. So it becomes, so it's a comparative state which comes up in terms of these growth numbers which are there. But in your opinion of the potential which India has, the one which you have seen for the last 20, 25, 30 years, in your conscious work life, okay, from that perspective, I'm like, because in 25, 30 years, you have seen ups and downs in India's economy as well. You've seen political changes as well. You've seen war situations. You've seen tsunami. You've seen world financial crisis. You've seen NPA problems bubbling up. You've seen IT bubble bust take place. So it's not that you have not seen things happen from the data, you know, historic data perspective. But then I would like to know, given the potential you have seen in India, do you think these numbers are conservative or over optimistic? One line.
I don't want to give a view on the numbers, but what I can give a view on is the state of the Indian economy and the prospect of Indian economy going forward. So I'm very bullish on Indian stock market, and though in the next 2-3 years it may not give you good return, but the kind of demographic dividend that we have, the kind of financial strength which is there in the Indian balance sheet, that is indicative that over the longer time frame, maybe 5 years or 7 years, the kind of return which Indian stock market will give will be substantially higher than any other country, because even the geopolitical and the demand supply dynamics is there on money, on the flow of money in the global market. The prospect of India is very bright, and the way Indian economy is being managed by all the famous economists of India, and the way we have structured the balance sheet and the order book and the demographic dividend that we have, the population that we have, there is no reason why India will outshine every other economy. And over the long-term period, India will do better. So my suggestion still is invest in stock market. It's available. The stocks are available at huge discount, and during all discount period, people buy. So this is a great opportunity. You manage your asset allocation. You will have to plan in the long term. You'll have to keep some money into debt as well, because you have to meet certain uncertainties in life. But as a substantial portion of your looking at the audience age profile, I think substantial portion has to be into equity, because they will be, their earning rate will keep on going up for a very long period of time. And stock market, Indian stock market is going to give you very good dividends. So I'm very positive on Indian economy. I don't predict a stock market level. We are not allowed to do it as per the CB guidelines, regulatory guidelines. I cannot talk about any particular stock or cannot give any indicative return that's banned by the government of India for investment world. But we are very bullish. I am very bullish on the stock market and Indian economy as well.
So you can all see how, you know, he loves to play with data and information. Answering the question, because my answer to the question was very simple and straightforward, one line, but he moved around to the stock market. But because the total wealth of India in the stock market is not more than 6 or 7% of the total wealth which India has. So stock market is not such a great indicator, but I am in with Vikas on this bullishness of both on the Indian economy and the stock market for a large number of other reasons. As I said, this is not the focus for that, but I wanted you to hint on it, which is there. Thank you for that insight. You know, my last question to you, and I would request anyone who wants to ask questions to either switch on his video or raise his hand so that we can actually bring him in for the questions. Your advice to the youth and the students, because I personally feel that we are going through such turbulent times, and the problem of this plenty which is there, the internet, the digital flux which has come in, which has brought a bigger problem of plenty. Today, you don't have one small market. The whole world is a market, whether it's a question of education, whether it's a question of buying products or services, whether it's even a question of seeking jobs. You know, so you're not looking at one specific market. You can be serving somewhere in Germany and France or UK or something else. I'm the ambassador for JINSA, which is the German Federation of Federal Government, one of the startup agencies of Germany. And as an ambassador, we had a roundtable meeting the other day. And one of the companies said that they have actually given out works to small startups across the globe to do some of them. And they said that they were able to get efficiency to almost the time of 200 times. They were able to get a job done in a span of 25 days, as against it would have taken 6 months if they had to do it themselves. No, so this kind of an efficiency factor is certainly which is bouncing in with the perplexity of plenties. But then the youth is perplexed. It's a big problem. And from that perspective, I would like your views, your message to the youth. You are a young man. You know, you're not, don't consider to be older. As I say, puts it, and he says that at the age of 70 some years, he is a young man of 28 and he puts me older. I say, I am the teen. So you are a teen and you have that buzzle in you. But still, to the youth who are yet to experience that life that you have led so far, what would be your message?
See, my suggestion to young people is try to think about themselves and try to discover what they are good at. They should not try to copy somebody else, that he got a job in IT company or the other guy got into finance and he's earning 5-digit salary. What will ultimately matter is what are you good at. If you try to pursue what you are good at, you are going to be very, very successful. So one thing is spend some time in understanding what you're good at, what will you love to do, what will give you the passion, what will make you work throughout the night without getting tired. And if you are searching and if you get that particular job, that is going to take you to a very, very high level. Secondly, you will have to work on yourself. You will never feel that you are completely trained and you don't need upskilling any further. So you will have to upskill yourself continuously and try to solve some real problem. Okay, even in data analytics, there are many theoretical things which could be done. But unless until you are solving some business problem, that thing will not be respected by the industry. So try to solve, even if you become an entrepreneur or you try a startup, try to find out a problem of the society and try to solve it. If you are able to crack that, you will be successful. Many startups fail because they are very hypothetical in their approach. If they are actually solving any real problem of the society, there is no reason why they will not be very, very successful. So having a passion in what you are doing, solving real life problem, and continuously upskilling yourself are three things I believe if you have, nobody can stop you from becoming very, very successful.
Thank you, Vikas. And I just request any who has some question for Vikas to bring them up. Otherwise, I will go because we already crossed a time of 1 hour. We've crossed 1 hour
Yeah.
10, and I'd like to contain it to that level because I don't want to extend it too much. It's already quite late in India, and then from across the globe to join us as well. Any questions from there? I don't see any hands today, but then I have the last duty for myself. Thank you, Vikas, for being there. I think you explained so well. You went one by one step. It's very important what you said, and it's important for students. We always tell them that you have this problem-solving attitude in life, because only if you have a problem-solving attitude can you really grow up. We have been telling that from the very beginning, even when your batch was there, even earlier to other people, students, writing to them. And I'm very happy that almost all our students are doing very well in their life. Incidentally, his Vikas' younger brother, he mentioned of, also has been an alumni of the institute. So we are happy that we have had a large number of alumni also who not only got married and had spouses, but also had, from his batch also, there are a couple of them who had got spouses.
Many of them, many of my friends got married, and they have a very good life today.
They felt nice, and then they sent their younger siblings and brothers and sisters to come and pursue. And that's something which we felt very proud of in terms of the recognition as our two ambassadors going outside. I thank Vikas for that. And Vikas, I'll just take a second because I have a responsibility to perform for tomorrow and day after. Dear friends, we have a couple of things for tomorrow. I have another young friend of mine who is an industrialist, who is heading as industrialist of a pharmaceutical organization, who has been president of various chambers of PAD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and is currently heading various committees of SHM. and also associate vice president, I think, associate vice president of SOCM as well. His name is Anil Ketan, who will be joining us tomorrow at the same time. And then next to him, I have another old friend of mine who is a very senior journalist and who has written large number of diasporas on corporates and been trying to take their cause forward as a journalist. His name is Shantanu Guha Ray, a very prominent guy, a very influential guy. And then on the next day, on the Saturday for this week, I have a European Parliament member, a member who is now a family of the Institute. He's an honorary professor as well, but he will be joining us. He's a European Parliament member, sitting as a member, current Parliament member, who will be joining us on Saturday at the same time from Europe. He's based out of Brussels. And tomorrow, we have also some technical sessions. One is on the demystifying and analyzing profit and loss account, balance sheet, and cash flows. The other is how to do financial modeling. And these are two sessions which are going to be there at 11 and 4. Apart from that, we are, as I said, going to host a large number of workshops to enrich people in terms of research, in terms of finance, and various other aspects of the economy and of the economy. We always have an economic angle to it, but this particular program, as I said, has no specific economic angle except for that small question which I asked Vikash, which he turned out. Which way he does very well. This is something which large number of corporates learn during the course, and he's learned it very well. Thank you, Vikash.
Thanks, Aman, for inviting. It was a pleasure to attend this session. Thank you very much. God bless you. Bye-bye.